There is power in personal stories. It connects us, it empowers us, and it holds us accountable. It creates understanding and expands our perspective. This is Big in the Community with Jonathan James at the Kalamazoo Promise, a podcast aimed to highlight local leaders, collaborators, and innovators in the greater Kalamazoo community. All right, here we are again, another episode of Big in the Community. I'm going to skip the quote today because I didn't have time to look up a quote. I'll be real. Things happen. Life is busy. Time sometimes takes priority and other things come up. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest today, Sarah Mead. If you could tell us what's your title, what organization are you with, that kind of information.
Of course, like he said, my name is Sarah Mead. I am the Director of Marketing Advancement, new title, still getting used to it, at Gryphon Place.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How long have you been in your current role, and how long have you been in Kalamazoo?
Well, my current role, including the new titles, been about 3 months, but at Gryphon Place, I've been there for about 2.5 years. And then in Kalamazoo, I've been here for a decade. Western grad, just decided to stay here after.
Go Broncos.
That's right.
So what was your title before you got the director position?
Before I got the director position, I was the marketing manager.
Okay.
So I've taken on some new duties since then.
Nice. What's your favorite thing about your role?
My favorite thing is that I get to decide what Gryphon Place's brand is. It's something I've never been able to do before. A lot of the nonprofits I've worked for were branches of national organizations that had national branding standards. So this is the first organization I've worked for where I've been able to change and choose the color palette, the font, the feel, the voice, and that's been the most exciting part thus far.
That's awesome. What is it? So it's like you kind of have your own personal investment in the company or in the organization. Can you tell us more about what Gryphon Place does?
So Gryphon Place is a local nonprofit that works on local, state, and national levels. We help those in conflict and crisis. We answer our 211 and 988 calls nationally and locally. And then our restorative practices, youth programs impact our local community. So we do a plethora of things, but when it comes down to it, we help anyone in conflict and crisis, no matter how big or how small.
That's amazing. Thank you for the work that you do. What does a typical day look like for you?
There is no typical day.
Right.
When you work in a nonprofit, you often wear multiple different hats. So when it comes to marketing, I have to dabble in about everything: the videography, photography, web design, graphic design, social media. Yeah, you understand what I'm saying. Yes.
Our producer shaking his head over here.
In addition to managing and organizing the events, and now with my new title, overseeing fundraising as well. So every single day is different. But I get to market every day. My favorite part is getting able to sit down and design things.
As long as you're happy doing what you do, that's amazing. In what ways do you and your organization collaborate with other organizations in Kalamazoo?
Gryphon Place collaborates more than I think any organization I've been a part of for a plethora of reasons. One of which is 211. For those that aren't familiar, if you need help with everyday basic needs, for example, maybe your water heater gave out and you're not sure how to replace it, you call 211 and we look up all of the resources in the area to get you the help that you need. And so we partner with every organization in the area to put their services in our 211 department. I know we've partnered with you, the Kalamazoo Promise, on placing interns. We work with Kalamazoo Public Schools with our Gatekeeper program and our restorative practices. And so we're sort of all over the community in some way, working with every nonprofit in at least a little way.
Yeah. It sounds like you're a great resource for people to have, even in a way that you just connect people to resources.
Yes. What's great about us is we're kind of a one-stop shop, that if you're not sure where to go, rather than spending countless hours researching it on your end, you can just give us a call and we'll help you out.
That's awesome. I mean, I think a lot of people don't know that. I mean, not a lot, but just like thinking about it, like when I think of Gryphon Place, I'm like, oh, you guys have the hotline. A lot of people would say that, but also that you're a resource and you have all these other services. You've grown in many ways. And I think that's something that not everyone in Kalamazoo knows about nonprofits. It's hard to know that an organization is growing, that they're doing new things, unless you know somebody or you happen to follow a nonprofit on social media and see the posts and all that. So how do you think it's challenging to reach people in Kalamazoo, or what ways do you reach people in Kalamazoo?
It can always be challenging to reach people, especially as Gryphon Place. We have so many different programs. It can be hard to summarize everything we do into an easily digestible text for people. But we reach out to people in two major ways. One, never underestimate social media. Most people are on it from all ages, all backgrounds. And so we post all of our programs and information on there, but also being out in the community. We partnered with at least a dozen organizations over the last month, going out to their events, tabling them, handing out our information. And then you're able to reach new audiences that might not have heard of you before or came across you coincidentally on social media at one point.
Yeah. No, I've seen all the different things that you've done, and I'm impressed. You know, every once in a while, like there's people in the community that I take notes from, and I've like seen things that Gryphon Place and yourself have done. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. You know,
Yes.
Yeah. So about you, what's your story, and who are you, and how did you get here? And you can go back as far as you want, but I'll leave it up to you where you want to start and where you want to finish, and I might ask some little questions here and there.
Well, I will start in college. Like many people, I ended up changing my major partway through. I was originally majoring in criminal justice with a minor in social psychology, and then realized I didn't want to do that. But I kept both of them as minors, added on the nonprofit leadership minor, and then changed my major to communication. That year, I believe, Western's nonprofit program was named Best in the Nation, and it was by far, out of all of the 4 programs I was a part of, the most engaging and successful one, in my opinion. Not only did it give me a lot of hands-on experience, but it took us to conferences. It had classes where we could actually learn tangible hands-on skills. And you're also required to do an internship, which gave me experience that not everyone's able to get. And so because of that, I think that's why I was able to get a job out of college right away. I went to a Kalamazoo Social Media Week event, which is a marketing event. I wasn't necessarily pursuing a marketing career at that time. I was doing some networking, talking to someone, telling them that I'm graduating soon, looking for a job. And then someone who I now consider my mentor butt right into the conversation and said, "Hi, we're hiring." And then I got that job, and I was able to work for the Downtown Kalamazoo Incorporated, fresh out of college, which was just a perfect opportunity because I got to meet so many different people and stakeholders and downtown business owners through that career, which I think has helped me till this day. I was hired for an executive assistant position, and while I graduated with a communication degree, it wasn't necessarily marketing. And since I was the youngest in the office, by at least half. I was just kind of thrown into social media.
Okay.
And I did it. I was like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. I raised our followers by an average of like 190% in the first 6 months.
That's impressive.
And that started my marketing career. And going through the nonprofit program at Western, I didn't want to do anything but nonprofits. So I've been focused in Kalamazoo on Kalamazoo nonprofits doing their marketing, and that led me to Gryphon Place. And now at 29 years old, I am the director of my marketing department.
Wow. That's impressive. You went from graduated, job, learned a whole bunch, grew in many ways, and life kind of took you in another direction that you weren't necessarily knew you were going to go that way. But now you said 29, director. It's impressive.
I mean, I was kind of surprised at the way it went, but also not really. I've been an artist my whole life, so this path just kind of happened naturally. But when you're in college and you don't necessarily have a lot of career experience, you might not actually know what you want to do. And so I knew the general idea of what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in nonprofits. I wanted to help make a difference. I just didn't know the specific. And so once I got into the working world and I found what my niche was, which was marketing.
That's awesome. You could see like there was networking, there were connections, and eventually you were able to find out, okay, I'm actually passionate about the work that I'm doing. And you were able to get plugged in, get connected, and that's good to hear. And also that you had a good experience at Western. That's good too. Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
I think we're all Broncos in here, right? All right, all four of us producers. What motivated you to get to where you are now? Was it education, a mentor? I know you mentioned a mentor. Personal passion. What is it that really got you to where you are now?
I would have to say my personal passion. I love marketing. You just really are able to create things all day long, and not every organization is a perfect fit for you. You might love the job, but maybe you're looking for something that you're a little more passionate about. And working at Gryphon Place has really sort of changed my life on my career. It's led to more freedom for me. I enjoy my work more now than I ever have before. They believe in work-life balance, which has been a great positive impact in my life, which also allows me to be more passionate about my work. I'm able to be more flexible. I don't necessarily have to go to the office, sit in my cubicle 9 to 5 and try and be creative. I'm able to go for walks, which helps spark my creativity more than ever. If ever I can't find words, for example, one time I was writing a blog article, couldn't think of the word bliss. And all in my head, I'm just picturing a girl twirling around in a dress in a field of flowers. And I'm like, what is that word? Went for a walk. It's bliss.
Nice. What is it? Trying to think. I want to follow. You said you're an artist. What kind of artist are you?
I like to do multiple mediums. I started with charcoal. I've dabbled in some watercolor. I've done block printing. But my overall favorite kind of art would be music. I am a singer.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We won't put you on the spot right now. What kind of music do you like or like to sing as well?
My favorite music are musicals. On the occasion, I like to dabble in some opera. If I'm feeling really happy, I bust out those high notes.
Okay.
And then some occasional pop music.
Okay. What's your favorite musical?
Wicked.
Okay.
No question.
Okay, second favorite. Because I've never actually seen Wicked. I know.
Well, there's a movie coming out next year, so I'll see how that is. Second favorite. Oh, goodness.
I'm just trying to see if I know one. I used to do musicals in
You
high
did?
school. Yeah, in high school.
What did you do?
We don't need to talk about it. I'm sure there's bad pictures somewhere on the internet, but we don't need to bring that up right now.
Well, my high school was the first in Michigan to perform Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, I know that one.
That was exciting. I wouldn't say that was my second favorite, though. In top 10, though. Maybe The Heathers.
Okay.
It is based off of that movie with Winona Ryder.
I don't think I've seen it.
It is, I'd say, the original Mean Girls, but more dark.
Okay. That sounds scary.
They have lots of good belt songs in it, and probably one of my favorite musicals to sing.
Okay. All right, I'll have to look it up. What would it be if you could do anything to transform Kalamazoo? What would it be, regardless of politics or money or anything?
Well, I love downtown, and I want to see it thrive. I would love to see downtown hustling and bustling again. I think it's been hard to bounce back since COVID. We've seen a lot of businesses close, but we've been seeing more open now. But we still have a lot of empty spaces. Festivals are starting to come back, but still not at the rate as they were before. And so I just want to see the community back together. Not only businesses coming down, but then people in Kalamazoo, in surrounding areas, coming down to support them.
I like that. What are your favorite things about Kalamazoo?
Well, as I just said, I love downtown. I don't have a specific reason why. I think I just like being in the community, like where the people are at. We have one of the highest rates of nonprofits per capita in the country.
Or resource rich, as people would say.
Yes. And I love that. There's basically any type of help you need, there's a nonprofit here for that. Also, we have 3 colleges. I don't think that's typical in a normal city either. So I like speaking with college students and mentoring them in ways that I can. And so it's nice seeing the leaders of tomorrow in our community.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I'll have to get you connected with some of the people at Western. I know we just were there talking with some of our scholars and everything. I think you might be a good person to bring over there too. If the Kalamazoo Promise was available to you, how would it have changed things for you?
Well, I wouldn't have any student loans right now. I was lucky to grow up in a fairly fortunate town, but my family was not one of the fortunate people in the town. We had scholarships for the private schools that we went to. My parents didn't buy their house until I graduated, so the house I grew up in for 20 years, we were renting the whole time. And so money was definitely always a factor on my family's mind. I honestly am not sure. I didn't do any of the paperwork for my student loans. My mom did it all for me. And so I give her major kudos to that. But I know that it was money out of their pocket as well. So I'm fortunate to have parents like that. So I personally, thankfully, didn't necessarily have to worry about that because my parents did. But then I'm one of 3 kids.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely a financial strain on them. And I think it would have made their life a whole lot less stressful than it was because they did everything to make sure that we didn't feel that stress.
Yeah. That's thank you for sharing that. I know a lot of our students, a lot of our scholars, they have different situations that might relate to what you went through, or they might have different things that they had to go through to be able to use the promise. Even though it's tuition and fees covered, there's still, other things that they still need support with. And hearing that there's other people who, may have went through this or that, somebody's going to have a similar story to you as well. So I appreciate you sharing that.
There's a chance my mom might cry when she listens to this.
Well, I'm sorry to your mom. but also thankful that, she sacrificed and was able to help you get to where you are now. I know when I was going to school, I didn't know, like when I started, I was like, how do I fill this paperwork out? That was a thing. I was like, what is fast?
Yeah.
Why do people call it
no
fast?
idea how to fill any of that
Why
out.
do people call it FAFSA when it's FAFSA? Like that always bothered me, but anyway, it's FAFSA. Who cares? But that was just like the first thing when I got to school. I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. But you had somebody who was able to help you take care of the paperwork. Some students don't have that, and then they have to, go to financial aid, financial services. Okay, where do I start? I don't even know. Like, I just know I need to sign up for classes. I know I have the promise, and I don't know where to start. I don't know who to talk to. I called Bob and was like, hey, I need help. How do I use the promise? But now we have all kinds of resources, all kinds of people to help out with that too. So that's just one of those places where we're trying to figure out how we can help. If you had a gold nugget of information that you would share with someone who would like to do the same work as you, what would it be?
I would tell them to network. You cannot underestimate the value of networking, because sometimes it's who you know that helps you get into certain doors. Like when I went to that networking event when I was a senior in college, I just happened to run into someone that was hiring and was able to get that position. I've continued to network through my career. I know you because you're on one of my committees at Gryphon Place. And so you never know when you go to some sort of nonprofit event who you might meet, who might work at an organization that might offer the exact right kind of help that you're looking for. Plus, then you get to go out in the community and you get to have fun and you get to support other organizations. So it's just a win-win all around.
Yeah, it is fun. It is fun work. Networking. I know for me, it was kind of intimidating when I first started.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
I was like, I'm not like, even though I'm hosting a podcast, I am not the person who's like, oh yeah, let me go talk and meet everybody. But that's what my job is. I have to.
As a college kid and freshly out of college, I was definitely intimidated from networking. I'm like, here's all these geniuses in this room that have careers and know things, and I know nothing. What am I going to talk to them about? But I am also a bit more of an extrovert, which I think has helped me.
No, that's good. I mean, being extroverted, it's almost like it's a talent, because not everybody is extroverted, and some people are just naturally like extrovert. Like my son, he's 11 years old. He'll talk to anybody. It's kind of creepy, but he'll talk to anybody. I'm like, hey, don't talk to just everybody. But he'll just spark up conversations, and he'll just be like, what? And he says some pretty witty things. I'm like, how do you know that? He's growing up way too fast in front of me.
Can I offer a second piece of advice?
Yeah.
With marketing, there's also a lot of hard skills to learn, especially with Adobe, InDesign, Photoshop, etc. And so if you're able to learn those, that will help you throughout your career. I didn't learn them until probably my fourth job out of college. And so I was kind of late in the game to the design field. But now that I know them, I'm just going to brag a little bit. I feel like I'm an unstoppable force.
All right, unstoppable force. That's something you could put on your resume. I'm an unstoppable force when it comes to that. They call me King Canva around here. That's the Canva. Third piece of advice. Canva is a good introductory way to make some flyers or some marketing things. But
absolutely. And working in nonprofits, wearing multiple hats, you don't necessarily always have the time. So finding the tools that can make your life easier is always a positive. And I also utilize Canva probably every single day.
It's a good tool. I'm glad that we have it. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh my goodness, I wasn't prepared for this. Well, what's your favorite part of your job?
I think the favorite part about my job is it's not actually while I'm at work. My favorite part about my job is when I happen to like run into family or friends and I know they want to get into education. They want to, when I'm able to connect them to resources and help them in different ways, just because I happen to know someone or I know that a new thing is coming out or there's opportunities and stuff like that. That's my favorite part. Just the fact, like, over the last 2+ years, I've learned so many things that are in Kalamazoo that I didn't know existed. And then also the way to find them is a big thing because I didn't know how. And I'm like, I need everybody to know this. I need, talking to a family member, I'm saying like, hey, you could go back to school and start this program and like, it won't even cost anything. And they're like, what? How do you know that? Like, where did that come from? How do I get connected in that? And then just like piecing the things together so that they can live the life that they want to. That's my favorite part. Any other questions?
Yes.
Oh gosh, I'm scared. That was a good one.
I feel like every nonprofit marketing department at one time or another has uttered the possibility of starting a podcast. Mm-hmm. Doesn't always happen. Most of the time it doesn't happen. But if a nonprofit did want to start a podcast, what advice would you give them?
Oof. That's a big one. I feel like the producer needs to hop on the microphone. You can, if you want. You want to, is another microphone hooked up? Or you? Okay, here we go. It's funny because somebody actually reached out to me on LinkedIn and was asking about how to start a podcast. And what I said was to find out if there's other people that are interested in doing it as well. And so that way you have that sharing of resources. See, we're doing some impromptu stuff over here.
That makes it
Hello?
the best podcast.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Can we make sure that the headphones, like, over there, are like the... You got me, Giselle?
There we go.
Awesome. All right, well, let me take a seat.
Yeah, impromptu. Welcome to the podcast. Producer.
They're seeing my face for the first time.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Thank
you
for
also
this.
have a voice for podcasts.
See?
Both of you.
I was trying to tell you.
Man. Repeat the question again.
I feel like a lot of nonprofits think about starting a podcast, but they're not sure if it's the right choice for them or where to start. So what advice would you give to a nonprofit that's thinking about starting a podcast?
I would say first, start figuring out those topics that, would spark discussion. I think with our previous podcast with Dr. John, Deep Dive with Dr. John, it really centered a lot with, highlighting the stories of our alumni, our staff members even, just talking about how they got to the promise or how they were able to utilize the promise during their post-secondary journeys. And I think the bulk of like the meat and potatoes really came from those stories because it's like, well, people want to know how our scholars or how our alumni, how they have utilized the promise and like where are they at now. For our staff, it was about, what experiences that they had before coming onto our team. And so I think now with this podcast with Big in the Community, I think, Jonathan really wanted to highlight and shine a light on the community, leaders in Kalamazoo. So what work are they doing? How are they collaborating with other people? How did they get to Kalamazoo? And I think just being able to find like that why, as far as just like, well, what's a topic that could be able to draw people in? What's a topic that can really like, okay, this is worth, putting a spotlight on. Community leaders such as yourself. And so it's just like, it takes a lot of research to an extent. But it's just really just trying to figure out like, what is that like story piece of it? Like what point are we trying to get across to people? Like why are people going to listen to this story and why is it valuable?
I know when I started like talking with Dr. John about the idea, it was, hey, we should do a series on your podcast. And it was, let's talk about community leaders. Let's, highlight the work that they're doing. But I really got into it when I like started writing the mission and vision statement. The vision, what you want to see, and then the mission, how you do the work. Mm-hmm. And I think the easiest and the most personable way is to just talk to people about the work that they're doing. So yeah. Anything else?
Oh, no, that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I mean, once you got the why, I mean, everything else just falls into place. The marketing, the branding, and all that stuff. You find the inspiration somewhere in there.
Well, I know being on this has made me now want to start a podcast as well.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
You should.
I like this. This is pretty cool, especially because you mentioned about having or being skilled in Adobe is like one of the best things you can have in like your arsenal. And I'm like, I resonate with that so much because we edit these episodes from Premiere Pro. Sorry to break the wall. But these episodes are edited through Premiere Pro. And so my experience as an intern and just editing episodes and post-producing, and then now being in my position, a full-time position, and still carrying that on, it's like, okay, well, I'm only getting better. I'm only getting more skilled. And yeah.
So you started as an intern here.
Yeah.
And now you are a staff member here.
Yes.
Because you just were irreplaceable with all those hard skills you learned during your internship.
Don't boost his ego too much. It's already.
So she gets it.
It's like, why doesn't anybody else get it?
She gets it.
No, I always hype him up because I see everybody saw the work that he was doing, and then he just kept, it paid off, the hard work that he was doing. And he's still like, it carried over everything that he learned. Now he's, living the dream as far as promise, promise fulfilled over here.
Promise fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah.
If possible, I would always recommend getting an internship. I know, at least at nonprofits, they're not always paid, so they might not always be feasible. But I had 2 internships in college, and I think those are what got me a job right away because I already had those skills. You learned those skills, and now you're here with us again today. So internships can be pretty invaluable.
No, they rule. It was weird for me because when they announced the Higher Promise internship, I was like, this was the first year they were doing it, and I'm like, at least $15 an hour. I'm like, I don't know.
And look at you now.
Right. I think I just had to just step out on faith and just like, all right, well, and then I ended up following up, and they followed up with me, and then they placed me where I was going to be placed at, and I just so happened to be placed here at the Promise, and that was just placed in the realm of marketing. It was crazy because I was like applying to do like something in like public relations with alumni and whatnot, but I guess life turned it to where I was in marketing. So I was like, all right, well, hey, my degree is in public relations, but I can do some marketing work. Why not?
My first internship was at Girls on the Run as more of a programmatic intern. Because again, at that time, wasn't set on marketing. There, I met someone. We were both coaches on one of the teams. And then I interned at her nonprofit. And now, 7-ish years later, I am in contact with her all the time, and we work together on projects all the time now. And so without having done that first internship, I never would have met her, and we still wouldn't be working together today.
That's awesome. I didn't have any internships. I'm going to just throw that out there. I was lost for a while. I was working whatever job I could. I was like, what's paying the most?
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it, whatever. But I wasn't actually exploring like what do I actually want to do? What do I want to do when I graduate?
Yeah.
Not everyone knows their path.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard and kind of daunting deciding what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
It just kind of was thankfully able to happen fairly naturally for me. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. I always say I didn't get my first internship till my last semester, like my last full year of school, like my senior year. I didn't have an internship before then. I think I was trying to find an internship, but it was hard because they were either unpaid or they weren't paying enough. And I'm living in apartments and stuff like that. I got to pay rent. I got stuff I got to take care of. I'm pretty much a grown man at this point. So I'm like, I got to be able to pay bills, and I can't not get paid for doing like twice as much work. This isn't like marketing. There's a lot that goes into it, and it's not just like a one-person job. So it's like,
yeah, say that again.
It's not a one-person job.
Preaching to the choir here.
Okay, content writing, public relations, marketing, branding, anything of that is not a one-person job. So,
podcast topic.
The intern just gave a podcast topic. We're not going to say it. We're going to keep it close. That's for you.
All right. I might have to come to you then soon so you can help me start it up.
Oh, I got you.
There we go. Look at that. Networking.
Networking. There's the collab.
Live.
Creating partnerships.
See?
Full circle.
Right. It's like we're doing what we're preaching about. It's crazy. Do you have any more questions for us? now that you got both of us up here.
Oh, goodness. I think I'm good for now.
Okay. I'm going to go back over to my station so I can make sure that we can end properly.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you hopping on the podcast.
Has he joined any of the previous podcasts?
Nope. Yes. This might be the best one just because of that.
I'm so happy I could be a part of this special edition podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How can someone get involved in the work that you're doing?
So Gryphon Place is always looking for volunteers. You can learn more about that on our website. A lot of our volunteer work is different. Some of the things that you can do are volunteering on our lines for 988 or for 211. That does require some training, but it is frontline, hands-on work. What you're doing is making an immediate positive impact in someone's life.
Yeah, I would understand why some training would be needed for that. But thank you for sharing those opportunities. How could someone get in contact? Sorry, can't talk today. How can people get in contact with you or your organization?
Well, you can find everything on our website for who you'd like to contact. But if you'd like to reach out to me specifically, you can always shoot me an email at smead@gryphon.org. Smead is S-Mead, M-E-A-D, and Gryphon is spelled Gryphon. Smead just also happens to be my nickname, so it works out.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we get off of here?
Well, can I come back for like 15 more episodes?
We can see, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. You might have to start your own and just record it here. We'll see.
That works too.
Yeah. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your story. People need to hear it. So, thank you. You're ready. Be confident and know that you have everything that you need.